I feel like there's not enough time spent on study of what coaching is, how one properly coaches. And then probably the biggest thing that I face is people's motives. I think a lot of people's motives are not right. So I never got into speaking or coaching or counseling for money. When money started coming in high levels, I was shocked. I was never looking for it.
Hey, everybody, like what you see, Luxe Life with Candice Bar or any of the Luxe Media Studios shows, make sure you subscribe and click the like below. Hey, everybody, welcome to Luxe Life and Believing Before Seeing. We are so excited for our guest today. We've had some really cool people on the show, and he is now added to the list. But before I get to him very quickly, make sure if you haven't already, pick up your Believing Before Seeing copy, Believing to Existence, all about manifestation, getting what you want, and believing in things outside of yourself, that of which runs to me and through me. We have a couple copies left. I will sign it and send it out to you. Without further ado, we are so excited to introduce Mr. Tim Storey to Luxe Life. Welcome.
Thank you. But first of all, let's talk more about your book. I like that title.
Thank you.
Because you have to really have it in your mindset, in your imagination before it comes to pass, before it manifests.
Well,
So
let's talk about that, Tim. Especially with you, I'm really, really excited to have you because I love talking about, especially with entrepreneurs, mindset, manifestation, believing things outside yourself, believing outside of your current reality.
yes, yeah. So I think that, this whole idea of manifesting like miraculous things, a miracle means something uncommon, not normal, not regular. And so we have to go from believing in miracles to secondly, expecting miracles, and then thirdly, receiving miracles. And then you become a miracle, and then hopefully you begin to release miracles.
Yeah.
So that's one reason your book is just essential reading, is that how do we get to that point of believing, but believing properly, and then that true belief, when it's down in your core and you have, like Oprah says, an aha moment, that belief goes to expectation. And so I think a lot of times, even when people start a new year and they make a New Year's resolution, there's really not a New Year expectation, but that belief can turn it into expectation.
Yes. And I want to talk about this with you. I talk about it a lot. I love talking about this. People tend to ask, I have a chapter in the book called Mass Ask.
Yeah.
Because people ask too small. They're only looking at their current circumstance, or they're only looking at what they believe to be potentially possible. And I think that when you're asking too small, it's almost insulting.
Mm-hmm.
It's free. I keep saying dreaming is free. Dream
Yeah.
huge, because you're going to get even bigger than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah. No, so I like that. So there's actually like a Bible scripture that says, for God is able to do, and then it says, as you know, watch, exceedingly abundantly above all that you ask or imagine. So whenever I teach on that, I use an illustration. Like if you were to go to like CVS, they actually have two types of carts. They have one that you could just pick up and like a woman could put it on her arm and you see them walking through aisle 11. Or they have these little shopping carts, but they're super small. But you go to Costco, they have really ginormous carts because they want you to buy in bulk.
Yes.
So that's what you're saying. You're saying Costco size your cart.
Yes, I love that. I'm going to use that from now on. Let's cost this. Well, you're known, let's go back to you. You're known as a life strategist. And I kind of want to, I want the whole deal. I want the whole story. I want to know where you started. Where are you from?
So this whole life strategist, life coaching thing has not been around that long. When I first started to do it in 1990, I'd never heard of the term until I was mentored by a USC professor named Dr. Helen Mendez, who worked with me for the next 30 years. But I was way above my, let's say, education. And I started life coaching a lot of stars, movie stars, older ones, powerful ones, a lot of famous athletes. So I went to Helen Mendez and I said, I just really don't know what to do. So she says, Tim, let me help you. I created a life coaching manual and I'm going to let you borrow it, but then let's create one for you. So we started working on this whole life coaching manual, and it began to be something that I began to use. So I am a life coach, I am a life strategist, but before that, I was born in Compton, California, which I'm proud of. Great place to be born. Same as the Williams sisters, Venus and Serena. Dr. Dre is from there, Kendrick Lamar. It's not always the case in the inner city, but we were very lower income. But I like what my mother said. We might be lower income, but we're not lower class. So we had 7 people in a 2-bedroom apartment, cramped and crowded. And to think that I went from that to life coaching people in Beverly Hills in my 20s.
Yeah. How did that start?
Step by step. You know, I was in high school. I was a good athlete. And a girl in my junior year of high school gave me a book about the life of Mother Teresa. I read that book because Kathy asked me to. She's like, Timmy, you have to read this book. So I did, because she was one of my tutors and I liked her. She was smart. So I read this book. I didn't think I'd be so moved, and I was moved. And I'm like, wow, this lady was a school teacher, but she heard the crying of the orphans and decided to do something. I went to the guidance counselor my junior year, and he says, Tim, you know, you're the captain of every team you're on. And it's not even because you're always the best. And then we both laughed. And I said, that's true. He said, because you're a leader of leaders. He said, I think you should really consider going to seminary. So I decided to go to seminary. I continued, and then I ended up getting a doctorate in world religion.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You know, have you heard of Reverend Ike?
Very much so, yes. Yeah, I would like to talk to him because his father really liked me. And Reverend Ike and I disagreed in some areas about certain things. But what I mean by that is that I think from the church world, a lot of people didn't like him.
Yeah.
So he felt a little bit bothered by that. But we used to have great talks about it. But his idea of manifestation, believing, faith, miracle mentality, the dude was just like in another dimension. No doubt about it. So I have mad respect for him, and also for his wardrobe. He was always a great dresser.
Yes. So you started, you know, life coaching people, you said in your 20s. And
yes.
then how did it grow from there? I know you said you were coaching celebrities and all these big people. When that started really getting traction and growing.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing about me is that some of my friends say you're like the Forrest Gump of success, because you see how laid back I am?
Yeah.
This is me. In a couple of hours, I have a big meeting with one of our leading companies about these TV projects I work on. I'll be this laid back. When I speak to a lot of people at one time, I'm laid back behind the scenes, but when I get on stage, I blow it up.
Yeah.
But
Conserve the energy.
I think that for me, this is my calling. I feel like God gave me an assignment, and I'm just decided to walk worthy of my assignment. So I'm doing my assignment. So I always see myself, I'm no different than the guy who works at Pizza Hut or the person who's working at a hotel. I'm just doing my assignment.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, I have a question for you. So when you're coaching, or, you know, especially when you're on the come up, did you ever have a client or someone that you were coaching or dealt with that you second guessed yourself and you're like, I don't know if I can help this person?
On a daily basis, because I coach the biggest stars in the world. I had 300 entertainers. So, I mean, the biggest you can imagine. So when people say, who have you coached? It's more, who have I not?
Yeah.
So, and I still continue to. So no, I was I mean, but we'll call these conversations because some of these people are past. But let's talk about meeting with Jack Lemmon all the time, or Walter Matthau, or meeting with people like Tony Curtis. These are people that are legends in the space. The famous Lee Iacocca, the famous Fidel Sassoon. Yeah, I was way over my head. That's why I leaned on Dr. Helen Mendez from USC. Yeah.
What advice would you give? You know, there's nowadays the coaching industry is infiltrated. And if you ask me, I think a lot of them could use some work. There's some really great coaches out there. And I believe as an entrepreneur, having a coach, having a mentor is necessary to be successful. 1,000,000%. And I think as you grow, your coaches may change as you grow, because you're growing. You may need something different. You may need a different direction. You just need new freshness.
Yeah.
What advice would you give people in the coaching industry on how to move forward in a more successful way?
Yeah. So, and this is no put down on the present coaches.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's not enough time spent on study of what coaching is, how one properly coaches. And then probably the biggest thing that I face is people's motives. I think a lot of people's motives are not right.
Yeah.
So I never got into speaking or coaching or counseling for money. When money started coming in high levels, I was shocked. I was never looking for it. And I think that so many people just think about monetizing so much. So it's almost like being in an MLM, and you start seeing your family members as joining in your downline. I never see people like that. So I could meet with the biggest celebrities in the world, and their agent would say, how much is this going to be? And I'll say, nothing. What do you mean nothing? No, I don't want anything. And they go, no, 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 no. We want to give you. No, I don't want anything. This is so-and-so, and he needs help. I'm good. I was like that all day long, but you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
So no wonder all this goodness has come my way in that, in other businesses I run, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, people need to be trained more. They need to be trained.
I agree with that, because a lot of people think that they know, they just know, and that they can fix you. Or
Yeah.
on the other side of that, you have people that are looking for someone to fix them,
Yeah.
not willing to do the work of the fixing.
Believing Before Seeing, a new bestseller by Candice Bar. Order your copy today.
But the training is important. And I think that, like, I was just reading about Stevie Wonder this morning. So Stevie Wonder is a phenomenal friend of mine for over 30 years. And I have worked with him as a coach. And, but Stevie started playing harmonica at age 5. His mother saw how good he was and decided to give him piano lessons, because Stevie told me that he had heard his neighbor playing piano and wanted them to play piano. So he's playing harmonica at 5. He's playing piano at 6. At 8, he became like a master in the piano at 8.
Wow.
As a teenager, he does the song Fingertips, which becomes a #1 song in America and takes him to the top. He later signs with the late great, no, not late great, because he's very much alive. He signs with the great Berry Gordy, who's also my friend.
Yeah.
Signs with Berry Gordy, and the rest is history. But look at the fact that he stayed disciplined enough to continue to study. But I got to say this last thing, that once Stevie Wonder was famous, he still was in school for piano to get even more efficient.
I love that. Always keep learning. Always be a student. Now I have to ask you, so every therapist has a therapist, every coach has a coach.
Yeah.
Who have been some of the most impactful coaches throughout your life?
I think that's where I'm spoiled. I mean, Bernie Burlstein, one of the greatest managers in the history of Beverly Hills, just my friend for 25 years. Quincy Jones, my friend for 35 years. This Tim, this is how you do business, this is how you do life, this is how you do projects. Oprah Winfrey, one of my best friends today, talking to me about life strategy, business deals, how to handle the public. I mean, I'm so spoiled this way, but I just think that, again, you reap what you sow. I help my friends' kids for free. I help my neighbor. I help the guy at the gas station. So I guess life sends people to help me.
Well, you're giving out a lot of goodness. So, you've been doing this for a long time, as we know, and you're amazing at what you do, clearly. As you're coming up and as you, started making money, what was something you were able to get for yourself that you always wanted and never really thought possible? But when you got this thing, you were like, I'm proud of myself.
Well, it's a good question. So I started buying nicer cars already at 23 because I was already speaking at big places at 20. I had spoken to 13, 15,000 by the time I was 22.
Wow.
So at 23, I started getting nicer cars. But when I was 27, I bought what I call the Bomber Mercedes, brand new. And the thing that I liked, it had like this Mercedes thing, like when you drove, you could see it hanging out there in the center.
Yeah.
I was like, that was so dope. 27.
Yes.
Yeah.
Were you at all, I guess the word is, surprised by your success? That's such
Yes.
a
Yes. I'm surprised by the life I have now.
Okay.
If I showed you who I just talked to today already, no, I'm constantly surprised. I'm playing way over my head.
As you should.
Yeah, I'm like a child in the area of innocence, but very much a man in the realm that I know how to get things done. But yeah, I'm super surprised with all these projects I get to do, with all the people I get to do them with. When I go into these celebrity gatherings and so many people come up to me and say, "Oh my God, you changed my life." It's pretty mind-blowing stuff.
Now, what have you learned yourself? I'm sure you have many learning lessons, but what have you learned throughout this whole process that has really stuck with you for
Yeah. Well, I think that I got to give credit to a guy named Dennis Waitley in the 80s, because he said something similar that I now say, but he said something similar, is that we all learn through education, conversation, and observation. So he said it's similar to what I say, but I always like to shout out guys. I think that from people, my God. So if you sit down with a John Paul DeJoria, who sold Patron for $5 billion, you learn. So I've been around Kanye West since 2006 and been with him in the studio nonstop for a long period of time. With even his challenges that he has, I know so many of the good sides that he represents, and this creativeness, the creativity of being in the studio with a guy like that. To be in the studio with Usher, who just did the Super Bowl, and sit there and watch him like do things. Oh man, it's all mind-boggling. So observation, education, conversation.
Yes, I love that. And, you know, we're in 2024 now. We're middle of February. We're almost in March, for goodness sakes. What are we to expect to see from you?
I think that for me, I'm playing in the bonus. It's almost like if you're playing like the pinball machines and ding, 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 and these balls, and then new balls start coming out. Okay. So I've been fortunate that new balls are everywhere. But that's not even what I focus on.
Yeah.
My vision is to see other people's vision come to pass. I have something called World Shakers for Women, where I mentor women, and it's a very good price. It's very low. I was raised by my three sisters and my mother, so I
Wow.
connect well with women.
Wow.
So I have World Shakers for Women. I'm excited about World Shakers for Men is a private group for men where I have only 97 men that pay a fair amount of money. They come from all over the world and I mentor them every month. But we've had over 900 men try to get in, and I've only let in 97 so far, just
Wow.
because I want to make it that kind of serious group to grow and to network. So I enjoy things like that. You know, I have a talk show in 97 airports around the world. I'm in millions of hotel rooms. I have a new TV show coming out next year.
Beautiful.
Excited about that. But right now I'm excited about talking to you. So this is what I'm excited about.
Thank you. And we're very blessed and happy to have your time, because I know time is very precious. Oh, I had a great question for you. Oh, what is the difference, in your opinion, coaching men and coaching women?
I don't coach women very often
Okay.
because I was mentored not to, because I will tell you, sometimes there's a connection that can happen without anybody ever trying. And so if I'm going to coach a woman, if she's married, I will ask if the husband's okay with it. And then I even go so far to say, I would like to meet him if possible, just to make sure it's good.
Right.
So, because you know that I coach people that play at a high level, but still, I just think that that's respect.
Yeah.
So I coach probably 80% men. Men, I'm very good at coaching men because I know how to push their buttons. So I got the greatest men in the world, from the biggest CEOs to the greatest rappers to the biggest rock stars to the biggest knuckleheads. I love it.
Do you, throughout your experience, do you feel that it's, I don't know the word, maybe easier coaching men or women? Like, are women more open to change? And second question, you know, you coaching these high caliber men, you know, that can come with a lot of ego and resistance to change. Do you run into a lot
I think the women are easier. I think that they're more open to transformation.
Yeah.
More books are read by women. I think transformation is a key word, and women want change. They're thinking change all the time. I'm going to change my makeup. I'm going to change my style. Oh my God, I saw that. I want to change this. Honey, I want to change the couch. Men are creatures of habit.
Yes.
Yeah. So, in fact, a lot of men that I coach, they don't want to look at me on a Zoom. I'm too intimidating. So that's why I'm glad that I'm a good golfer, because some of my bigger clients, they want to golf with me. They don't want to look right in my face. They want to sit in a golf cart and say, My wife's driving me crazy.
Mm, mm. But how do you get through and how do you deal with sometimes that level of ego that can come with it?
I don't think there's a like one answer. I think that it depends on like the layers of the ego. And I like this idea about the ego, that the ego is necessary, but the ego works for you best when it's purified.
Mm,
And so I try to help people purify their intentions and their ego.
yeah, very beautiful. Now, can you leave our listeners and viewers, what is there, actually, I'm sorry, I have two things to ask. First thing is, every entrepreneur I've ever interviewed, everyone has a morning ritual and a nighttime ritual.
Yes.
What is your morning and nighttime ritual, if you can share it?
So I come from a like a religious background. So like today already I did 2 hours of listening to sermons.
Mm,
So a lot of what I do is in sermons or the Bible on tape or TED Talks, YouTube videos. I've been listening to Bob Proctor lately, his book on paradigm shift. I may put on Think and Grow Rich, but I'm literally like 2 hours a day study in the morning.
mm,
Then I pray. Then I exercise 5 days a week, but I'm very chill.
Yeah.
And then I explode. Like I got a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of moving parts. But I've learned from like amazing humans that like multitask, but I'm very in the moment. Like if we ever sit down in person, you'll never see me all distracted. You won't see me on my phone. You won't see me acting overly important. I'll be like right here.
Yes.
So that's my morning. My nighttime is I'm really into humor. I like to try to stay up late enough to watch the talk shows. I'm really into humor. I love humor. I love life. I like watching comedians. I even find YouTube videos of old comedians.
Yeah.
Yeah. Humor at night. I need it because my life is intense.
I understand. And laughter and energy, that laughter, that energy, that joy changes and shifts everything.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. So I'm into humor.
I love that. And then can you leave everyone, please? Is there a scripture or quote or something that you kind of keep in the forefront of your mind when things aren't going great? Because everybody has ups and downs,
Yeah.
not amazing days
I'll
sometimes.
give like a minute and a half little talk. Okay. To all you amazing people in life, we're taught to go right. To go right is to be correct, fitting, proper. We want the right abs, the right teeth,
Mm.
the right skin, the right school for our kids, and that's all right. But most of the time, life is a little bit left. Sometimes we're rejected. Sometimes it's not fitting. Sometimes it's not correct. But I have found that sometimes you have to go left before you get right.
Mm.
So life will sometimes send you left,
Mm. sit
you left to season you to get right.
Mm.
So maybe you've been sent to be seasoned because you're about to go right.
Mm.
But don't try to go right so quickly. Say, why am I left? Why did I break up with this person? Why am I going through this trial, test, and tribulation? Turn your left into a library and a sanctuary.
Mm.
A library of learning and a sanctuary of tapping into the source.
Mm. I love that.
Because you're left, but you're about to go right.
I love that. It's beautiful. Thank you, Tim. Thank you very much. And thank you for taking the time. It's such an honor to have you. How can everybody find you?
I think the easiest way is just timstorey.com, but I'm STOREY. So just timstorey.com, and you can see what we're up to, what we do. And then on social media like Instagram and Facebook, Tim Storey Official. But I'm proud of you. Can you please hold up your book again? How can they buy this book?
They can buy this book on Amazon and they can contact us directly. There's a Believing Before Seeing Instagram. We will get it out to you. I will sign it. Thank you, Tim, for that.
Yes, of course.
And I'll send one to you as well. And I want to thank, please do look up Tim, reach out to him, contact him on social media, follow him on social media. He
Call
is
me.
to follow. He is amazing. We love Tim. We'll have him back on. Thank you everyone for listening and watching, and we will see you all again next week. Bye everybody.